Good morning. This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, May 30th. Please stand for our invocation, led by Reverend Carl Lowry, St. Paul AME Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence following the pledge.
May we bow. Merciful God, thank you for allowing us here to conduct the business of this city. Grant us, O God, that we will do it expediently, justly, kindly, and in a spirit of love, so that all of the people of Mobile will be well taken care of. In your spirit we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. At last week's council meeting, we voted to name the walking trail at Figures Park in honor of Floretta Grayson Fortune. And sadly, on that very same day, we lost its namesake. I'm going to turn now to Mr. Richardson for some more detail. But again, if you would remain standing, Mr. Richardson.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. As you just stated, last week we named the walking trail at Figures Park after Mrs. Floretta Grayson Fortune, not knowing that on that same day was the day that she would pass away. I'm just so happy that we did that at that particular time. I just want to say that she was a tremendous community leader. She served at Gargis and Figures Park as the facility supervisor, and she became a role model up there, friend and mentor, and second mother and coach for many of those people who came and served at that park. She was the first to start a senior citizens group for the Mobile Parks and Recreation Department, and she organized the first African American girls softball team in the city of Mobile. We're all going to miss her, and her impact will be felt in years to come. Thank you, Madam President.
So if you would please, in your own way, a moment of silence. Thank you very much.
Roll call. President Gregory.
Here.
Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Manzi. Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hope you had a enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. We have just come from officially swearing in our new fire chief, Mark Seeley. I think some of our folks are probably still over there congratulating the chief. It was a great day to swear in the chief. He's already been on the job, but today made it official. It was great to see his friends and family there to support him, as well as 3 chiefs from Montgomery, one in particular, the chief, who helped in the selection process of Mark Seeley. So again, congratulations to the chief, and we just look forward to continuing to work with the chief and his new leadership team. Today on our agenda, we continue with ordinances and resolutions that deal with capital improvement plans. We will see some ordinances and resolutions relating to work at parks, also some road improvements, capital improvement plan funds for some resurfacing and drainage, and also we're getting started on the county's pay-as-you-go program. Bids are being let, contracts being signed to begin resurfacing, thanks to the county commission's pay-as-you-go program that we all benefit from, in particular with a lot of resurfacing that will start this summer sometime. This is our regular council meeting. The rules are very simple. We just ask everyone to please turn off all of your electronic devices. If you come to the podium to speak, you have 5 minutes. At the end of 4 minutes, you'll hear the buzzer. That's your indication that it's time to begin wrapping up. If you have any questions or concerns, please direct those to me. I'm the chair, and I will ask the appropriate member of the administration or council to resolve the issue for you at that time. Again, thank you. We welcome you here this morning. Ms. Lambert?
Approval of minutes of May 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
It's certainly great to see everybody here this morning. I hope you had a good Memorial Day. I would be remiss if I didn't thank those who help us remember the importance of Memorial Day. Those that take the effort, make the effort, and take the time to make sure that the flags are flying, that ceremonies are held, so that we can remember those that gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we can do what we do. Just building upon what President Gregory said about the swearing-in ceremony, last week we announced the new command structure. The Chief of Operations would be Doug Cooper, Chief of Staff is Jeremy Lamy, and Chief of Support is Myron King. Some may think that that's kind of maybe acting like that we're building up a command structure. Well, these are just new positions that have been created, but the whole idea is to streamline our command structure at Mobile Fire Rescue. Over a period of time, in the near term, there'll probably be about a $250,000 annual savings because of this streamlining. Ultimately, it'll amount to $1 million a year in savings. Those savings will be pointed back into Mobile Fire Rescue in the areas of emergency medical services and to fire suppression. So whereas we're saving money at the top, we're making sure that it's distributed to where the services are actually provided so that our citizens will see a marked improvement in the quality of the service that they're getting. Also, we pointed out that there's been a new threshold, a new target for us to point toward, and that is an ISO rating. An ISO rating is how our fire departments are measured. Mobile currently has an ISO rating of 3. The Montgomery Fire Department is the only fire department in the state of Alabama which has an ISO rating of 1. As Chief Barber's remarks at the swearing-in ceremony just a moment ago is certainly we want to achieve an ISO rating of 1, but we don't want to be behind Montgomery. We plan to be the best fire rescue department in the nation. And so with this new leadership under Mark Seeley and the command structure in place, you will start seeing the process of us getting there. So a great day for our citizens because of improved public safety. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Ms. Lambert.
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests of Blackwell Towing to appeal the decision of the Mobile Police Department to be removed from the city's record company rotation list.
Okay, this is an appeal. If the appellant is here and would like to speak. Okay.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
My name is Brent Day. I have the pleasure of representing Blackwell Towing. With me is Mr. Dwayne Blackwell. Blackwell's Towing was previously removed from the city's rotation list approximately in March of this year. An appeal was filed. Unfortunately, the notice to appear for that appeal hearing was received by myself the day of the hearing. Thus, we did not appear previously. Thereafter, Mr. Blackwell received notice from the police department requesting copies of all commercial tows. I had to think of a word. All those state ordinance, state law provides that towing companies keep separate books for commercial tows versus all private tows. The city ordinance does not require same. We're here today because we've been revoked under subsection C 6361, which provides in pertinent part, the police department shall have the authority to require the record company to make available to the chief of police or his designated representative any of all books, records, wrecking company pursuant to the investigation of the violation of this chapter. Now, at this time, we argue that we've not denied that. The request was made to provide the documents directly. These documents are commingled with several personal documents. We have file cabinets full of stuff. The police department is welcome to come down and look through this and gather any information they need. We're requesting that be placed back on the active rotation list effective immediately. That's all.
Okay. Any questions of the appellant? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the appellant?
Yes, City of Mobile.
No, I said on behalf of the appellant. Anybody else?
No.
Oh, okay.
City of Mobile is here represented by myself, Wanda Ramon. Also have Corporal John Rames here to also speak. Good morning to the council and the
morning.
mayor and the executive staff. If you can remember, January 19th, the Mobile Police Department asked that Blackwell Towing be suspended from the record rotation list due to excessive overcharging of customers in the city of Mobile. When we had the hearing at the Connie Hudson Senior Citizen Center, I provided a lot of documentation. After the hearing, which was held on February 7th, there was some concern by the mayor at that time of the business practices of Blackwell Towing. The mayor also suggested that perhaps the city of Mobile should conduct an audit of their books, of Blackwell's books, due to the exorbitant prices he was charging. City Council on February 19th affirmed the suspension, and Blackwell Towing was suspended for a period of 30 days. After I left the hearing, I've got direction from the then Chief Barber that we would do an audit of Blackwell's books. On March 23rd of 2017, I then sent out a letter to Blackwell Towing. And I will submit that, and it just briefly said that in light of your recent 30-day suspension for violating Chapter 63 of the City of Mobile Record Ordinance, the Mobile Police Department is hereby requesting that you provide all of your business records for commercial tows for the last 3 years, 2014, 2015, 2016, pursuant to the Mobile City Ordinance, within 30 days upon receipt of this letter. If you are unable to comply with the request, please provide us with notification in writing as to why you cannot do so within 5 days. We mailed that letter, General U.S. Postal Mail. We also sent it by certified mail. I received back that that letter was refused on March 29th. So from February 23rd up until April 20th, I got no response from Mr. Blackwell. Corporal Rames, who will come up before me, will come up after me, will also state that in addition to me sending this letter, certified and by regular mail, that he had conversations with Mr. Blackwell telling him exactly what we needed. The letter said, provide that information within 30 days, and then if you can't do it within 30 days, give me an explanation as to why. So at that time, we wanted to work with him because we knew that possibly those records would be commingled, but we wanted to give him an opportunity to at least start that process, all right? Between March 23rd and April 20th, with conversations with Corporal Rames, Mr. Blackwell stated to Corporal Rames that he had dropped those records off to the police headquarters with my paralegal, Shannon Dorado. I checked with my paralegal, no records were dropped off. He said he had had conversations with us. He never had any conversations with me concerning the records. And so on April 20th, once again, the police department, we sent a letter stating that we had made several requests, and this was dated on April 20th. Mobile PD has made several requests for you to provide financial records in order for the City of Mobile to conduct an audit on your commercial tows. You have intentionally avoided service by U.S. Certified Registered Mail and personal service by Corporal John Rames. Even repeated telephone calls to you have been unsuccessful in getting you to comply with the request. And therefore, at that time, we told him that we would just remove him from the list. And the basis of the removal was he failed to provide us with the documents, and while we were doing our own investigation, Corporal Rames was able to uncover more excessive charges on other companies. And in the letter that I gave him on April 20th, I specifically mentioned a tow that he did at Interstate 10 and Michigan Avenue, in which he charged for equipment in the amount of $4,480. Equipment was boots that his people were using to clean up the mess. And the ordinance does not allow you to charge for your personal equipment that you use to remove vehicles and trucks away from the scene. In that letter, I mailed it because he's got several locations. We mailed it U.S. mail, and we also sent it certified registered mail. I received no reply, and I asked, I did some tracking with the U.S. Postal Service, and that letter was also refused, so he refused service. So I've got 13 pages of when they went out. Postal Service went out to try to get him to sign for the letter, and he refused. It was not until we removed him from the list, notified our dispatchers not to send him on any tows, that he decided to contact the City of Mobile, wanting to know what was going on. Well, he knew what was going on. And our position is that, you know, to operate within the city limits of Mobile, you know, you get your business license, you have to be good stewards of what we give you. And we don't want that reputation of having people come through the town, and when they are broken down, they get gouged. And most companies who are out of state will go ahead and pay it because he's holding their vehicles, rigs, ransom. If you don't pay, you don't get your rigs. And of course, then they're coming back to the City of Mobile, the police department, saying that, you know, hey, y'all contracted with this guy. So our name is out there, and we're not having a good name out in the community if we're allowing this kind of behavior to take place. It was not until May 16th that I received information or a letter from Mr. Blackwell's attorney saying that they had no notice, you know, how could we remove him from the list? So on May 16th, I did speak with Brent Day, and I explained to him the reason his client didn't get notice is because he purposely, willfully avoided service. And even after he got the phone call to do the right thing, to give us the records or tell us when he would provide the records, he didn't do so. So the city's position at this time is that we do not want him back on the record list. We don't believe that he is the type of person, or the company is the type of company that we want to engage in business practices with him. We have, in addition to this excessive tow, even after we came in February, Corporal Rames can tell you what he's uncovered just on his own investigation. And so at this time, we would just say we would like them to remain off of the list, and we'd ask that you just affirm just the removal from the list, because I don't believe that he is going to do the right thing by the City of Mobile, and our reputation is at stake.
Thank you.
Corporal Rames.
Is Corporal Rames going to speak?
Yes.
And while the corporal's coming, if our attorney could clarify, I think that the appeal, that the suspension is based on refusal to present records, not anything else, and the appeal is to be placed back on and essentially not be required to present those records.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And may I say one thing before Corporal Rames gets up? On May 16th, after talking to Brent Day, I actually sent everything over to Brent Day that I had tried to serve on Mr. Blackwell, so that they would have the information prior to coming down today. And I didn't receive any calls. I didn't receive any documents. As late as Friday, I still didn't receive any documents, but yet he comes in here incredulously saying, we can come over to his office and we can look at everything. That time should have been when we requested it.
Thank you. Corporal?
Morning. This started back about December of 2015, actually, when I was given some information about a tunnel wreck with an 18-wheeler, which is not uncommon. If everybody knows that we have more than our share of tunnel trucks trying to drive through the tunnel, which is really not a good idea. It's just from that case, it seemed to snowball into more cases. From December of 2015 up until November of 2016, there were just numerous occasions where I felt like the company had been overcharged for tows. There'd been some things had been charged for that weren't allowed on the ordinance, and that were just really, in my opinion, exorbitant. And I spoke with Mr. Blackwell at the First Precinct, along with Sergeant Goodman, who was in charge of the impound lot, and we showed him some of the charges. We went over some of the charges, and he just didn't seem to think like they were excessive. He felt like they were standard issue, they were good to go charges, and I told him I didn't think they were, so we started the process up the chain of command to have him suspended and removed from the list. So I can answer individual questions, or I can quote some figures for you, or whatever you'd like.
Are there any questions of Corporal Rames?
No.
Anyone? No. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, I also uncovered, I spoke with the state troopers. They've also had some reason to suspend Mr. Blackwell on the list for a period of 60 days also for the same thing that we're involved with right now, so.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Since this is an appeal, the appellant has an opportunity to rebut.
Again, good morning.
Good morning.
A letter of March 23rd was received by Mr. Blackwell and responded to by my office personally on April 4th. In addition, Mr. Blackwell made telephone calls and spoke with, Mr. Rames, I can't remember his title, Corporal Rames. At that time, Mr. Rames indicated to Mr. Blackwell he was not concerned with the matter. There are other calls made by Mr. Blackwell directly to the office of Ms. Ramon that were not returned. These documents could well have been presented within the time requested. They are voluminous. It is unduly burdensome to require Mr. Blackwell to bring all these records down here. We'd be glad to provide them at any time. That's our response.
Anything you'd like to say, Mr. Blackwell? Any questions of the appellant, anyone? All right, thank you very much.
Just to clarify, there was a question.
Oh, Mr. Williams' question as to what the appeal is?
Yes,
Yeah, go
that's
ahead.
correct. The appeal is just to the appeal of the decision of the city or the police department removing him from the list.
Yes, okay.
I mean, I did, on this letter, she said we never received. One of my employees signed for this letter. Here's the letter, it comes certified mail. Said I never received, I have two other offices. No, they did not receive them, but my main office received a letter that she said we never would receive. Here's it right here.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much. Any questions? Okay, Ms. Lambert.
Request of Leon Sims, I'm sorry. We have to,
Oh,
we have to.
yes, I'm sorry. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to
Anyone?
deny the appeal.
Second.
All right, there is a motion on the floor to deny the appeal and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of denying the appeal, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the appeal has been denied.
We have a request for waiver of the noise ordinance on June 24th on Riverside Drive, June 2nd on South University Boulevard, and June 10th on Wood Valley Court.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings today is a public hearing to rezone property at 4514 and 4518 Dolphin Island Parkway, northwest corner of Dolphin Island Parkway and Alba Avenue from R1 to B3.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this public hearing, please come to the podium. And remember to give us your name and address for the record.
Morning, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. My name's Connie Oliver. I'm an owner and operator of Southern Marina and Harbor on Dolphin Island Parkway. I'm here this morning to ask you to confirm my request to change my zoning from R1 to B3. It's become a time in our business over a period of years where we could operate under R1 because we service larger type boats, primarily in the fishing industry and things, and those businesses have been changed because of regulations. Now, we would like to pursue a different type of boats that would require us to solicit franchises from boat dealers and things. And so doing, we'd have to put ourselves in a position where we could arrange financing and all these things. So we can't put our position out there to the boat dealers, the ones that are sellers and so forth, having them rent an R1 residence. They frown on it. So that's our position this morning, that we request you to uphold our zoning ordinance.
Okay, any questions of Mr. Oliver? Just want to make sure I can understand, the microphone was a little low. You were looking to expand your business by working with some franchises and able to work on larger boats, is that?
No, Mr. Berger, we operated all of the last 40 years with a larger boat clientele. The clientele is changing, the people are changing because of regulations and so forth on the larger boats. We have to change with them to be able to stay in business. So we have to go out and solicit franchise from a smaller boat dealers where we can arrange those sales and also arrange financing and things. And dealing with financial institutions and so forth, they would like for us to have a business zoning. So we are in a residential area, keep our place clean. We've been good neighbors, but we need to have our zoning changed to stay in business.
All right. Any other questions of Mr. Oliver? All right, thank you, sir. Okay, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak about this rezoning, please come to the podium.
Good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Gail Driver, and our home address is 1707 Alba Avenue, which is just down the street from Mr. Oliver's business and obviously residential. Our concern, number one, is that very few of the residents on our street, there are 14 houses that comprise our cul-de-sac street, very few of us were notified of this by mail, or some were by certified mail. We were not one of those residents, but at any rate, there was a sign placed in Mr. Oliver's marina front area, and a number of us on the street did call and ask the question about the rezoning, and we were told that he had several parcels, that he was just making an effort to combine those for tax purposes and to make it easier for him for his tax billing. Nothing was stated about any other business enterprise that he was interested in. But of course, hearing that didn't send up a red flag to us. I mean, we can appreciate making your tax records easier to deal with. So that was not the problem. However, once things kind of progressed, and it became apparent that the rezoning to commercial could impact us in the way of, number one, other properties around our area that are either vacant or for sale could also then apply for rezoning, and we could become a more commercialized area of the parkway, which we are not interested in doing, of course. But overall, too, the way our street is designed, all the houses are on the left-hand side of the street, circle the cul-de-sac. The entire right side is a vacant lot, 2.5 acres, that can be connected also to Mr. Oliver's property. And if something were to change, it, certainly transfer or connect with that property. But we are also aware that Mr. Oliver has tried to sell that property in the past without success. And it concerns us that were it rezoned to commercial, it would certainly enhance his chances of being successful in selling that property. We also are aware that across the street, there's a piece of property and house there now that is interested in perhaps building a warehouse on their piece of property. And kind of at this point, they're waiting to see what may happen with this and then apply for rezoning as well. This is an area, I don't know if you have a map, but this is an area right before Dog River Bridge. We have a great neighborhood, young people, some retirees. It's safe. We love the area, and we just don't want to see anything that negatively impacts our area. And we certainly see that this perhaps, could do that. Thank you.
Madam President,
Mr. Small?
I have a question. Good morning. Thank you for coming down.
Sure.
Were you one of the residents that had received a letter from the Planning Commission?
No.
Again, can you tell us exactly how far you stay from the property for DIP?
Oh, it would be hard for me to judge. What we have learned is that Mr. Oliver was required to contact people within 300 feet of his property. However, there are distances greater than 300 feet, quite a bit further out, that did receive notification. Maybe, I don't know from what spot, you may measure that footage, but we are certainly maybe 400 feet. It's not a great distance at all, and it, like I say, it would definitely affect us and those others before and after.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Olson is here, and we asked Richard during our pre-conference meeting who had received the notifications. Generally, it's 300 feet from, is it the right-of-way, Richard, or? Okay, he'll come to the podium. Thank you.
The zoning ordinance on on rezonings requires that people within 300 feet of the property line, perimeter property line, receive written notice or be mailed written notice. I emailed y'all the list that was provided by the applicant, as well as that I checked from the city web mapping. There were, I think it was 3 or 4 names that did not show up on the list from the applicant. There's also a difference in the notifications sent for subdivision. Those are immediately adjacent and directly across the street, and that's what the certified letters are.
Madam President,
I'm sorry, Mr. Williams?
so we depend on the applicant's list of mailing addresses to send out the letters?
Yes, sir.
That's the way it works.
Madam President,
Mr. Small?
Richard, did any of the letters come back to the city?
Yes, sir. We did receive a few of the letters back. I haven't counted to make sure how many, but we have received a few of them back.
Was it like approximately over 10, on top of your head, letters that came back?
It was not very many.
Okay. All right, thank
Any
you.
other questions of Mr. Olson? Thank you, appreciate it. The public hearing continues. If there's anyone else who would like to speak to the rezoning, please come to the podium.
David Sanders, 1713 Alva Avenue. I live approximately 350 feet from the property in question. Was not notified. My concerns are property value and quality of life. We have some neighbors that aren't very good neighbors, keeping their place up. We have one piece of property on our residential street that was required to remove a house, and it's been a derelict lot since then, with a car and a partial building still on the property and grass uncut. But that's the kind of thing that we're faced with. But most of all, in my mind, not being notified, as you can tell, it creates a negative, what's happening. We need to be informed. And my neighbors were. Like I say, I was not informed. And the questions that I have whenever they start talking about rezoning, I was unaware that under what zone the marina was operating under. And for them to go to another, what does that entail? What will he be allowed to do? What noise ordinances would have to be observed, or would there be any? There's just too many unknowns for us to not object to it. So that's my objection.
All right, thank you. Since those questions have come up, we did discuss this at pre-conference, but I'm going to ask our council attorney, Mr. Rossler. I know right now the marina is under a non-conforming ordinance, is that correct? Can you just describe what that is and what Mr. Oliver is allowed to do and how that compares to a B3? And if you need Richard to come down and...
He can probably help me a little bit with the history,
Yeah.
but I believe back in the mid-1990s, this property was before the circuit court and resulted in an order coming out of the circuit court, I believe in 1996, that declared that this property had a legal non-conforming use as a marina, which means that that use as a marina could continue in perpetuity, no matter if it's Mr. Oliver that owns the property or somebody that he may sell it to. As long as it stays a marina, it can continue to be operated as a marina from here to perpetuity as a legal non-conforming use.
On a legal non-conforming use, does it also specify things within the marina, like food services or anything like that, or is it just strictly?
That I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Okay. All right. Ms. Foster?
Good morning. Debbie Foster. Do I have to say my address?
Yes.
Yes, 4507 Park Road, 36605. I have a couple of extra copies if anybody needs that. We are here today, I'm here speaking on behalf of the Peninsula of Mobile organization. We are opposed to the requested change because first and foremost it is unnecessary. It is contrary to the map for Mobile, and the upzoning will harm the surrounding residential community in which it's located. The City of Mobile Board of Adjustment ruled in 1996 that Southern Marina is a legal non-conforming use. The board's ruling was upheld in Mobile Circuit Court in 1998, as has been discussed. As such, Southern Marina may continue to operate its marina and may even sell the property as marina, as you've already heard from the attorney. By contrast, if this property is rezoned to a B3, the neighborhood could be subjected to all B3 uses allowed by the zoning ordinance, including things from a strip club to a jail to a pharmaceutical warehouse to even more used car lots down there, which I'm before you a lot about. Upzoning will not only harm the residents in the immediate vicinity of the marina, but it would also set in motion a train of potential B3 applications, as what's already been discussed by the residents. There are a number of properties. I've attached in your packet several maps for you to see of the nearest of all of this area is completely R1 between the Perch Creek Bridge and the Dog River Bridge until you get down to the very tip of the bridge. Those are outlined in close-up photos from Google Earth. The landmass on which these properties sit is in the center of the southernmost neighborhoods of the peninsula, home to nearly 100 residents. We support those residents. As we've already said, they were not necessarily notified correctly. We have some of the lists, addresses here on Alba Avenue that far exceed the 300-foot radius. If the property is rezoned to B3, it would continue the practice that has put the peninsula in the situation that it's in right now of all the various zonings and uses that do not correspond with one another. Any move to a B3 adjacent to these long, quiet neighborhoods are not in keeping with the peninsula's master plan, nor is it supported by the long-range map for Mobile, nor the future land use plan, which was recently given a green light by the Mobile Planning Commission. The landmass area in question lies between Mobile Bay and Dog River along the fingers of Perch Creek. It's in the center of the Perch Creek Blue Way Trail and Park, which is a project jointly of the City of Mobile and the Peninsula, as well as others that is currently seeking Phase 2 funding from BP. This would be, we're also in the process of having this area added to the Alabama Birding Trail. This area is also located in the center of the proposed road diet, that is now being given serious consideration by ALDOT for the allowance of safer cycling for the hundreds that now use the Crepe Myrtle Bike Trail, including the Dog River Loop, and those paddling the Perch Creek portion of the Dog River Scenic Blueway. You'll see on your map that this area also lies right there at that Scenic Blueway launch site, or within feet. A request such as this is premature, given that Mobile is still at least a year out from codifying the future land use map that, for the first time in the city's history, is finally giving special consideration to water-dependent uses and conditional uses just like this marina that sit in the middle of a neighborhood. This is a classic example of what does need to be carefully considered for our area as this map for Mobile moves forward. Especially before we do any blanket B3 zonings. While changes to the ordinance are anticipated as the city grows, the established public policy is to amend the ordinance only when one or more of the following conditions prevail. There is a manifest error in the ordinance. Changing conditions in a particular area make a change in the ordinance necessary and desirable. There's a need to increase the number of sites available to a business or industry, or the subdivision of land into the building sites makes reclassification of the land necessary and desirable. None of those were applicable here. In a recent meeting, the applicant talked in depth of his desire to move to boat sales. This fact was not presented at the Planning Commission. Instead, the applicant merely stated that he wanted to combine his parcels for tax purposes. In any event, there has been no attempt to present any real plan for this property. As with any motorized sales, potential buyers desire a test drive. Alba Canal is frequented by the endangered West Indian manatee, whose largest predator is boat motors. In a recent meeting, the applicant talked in depth of his desire to move to boat sales. We can't do that. And then finally, we're aware that the applicant has been entertaining the idea of selling his property for some time. And as we know, one of the purposes behind rezoning of any kind is to protect the integrity of the neighboring properties, in this case, also the sensitive environment. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the rezoning, please come to the podium. Well, sir, I'm sorry, you've already been to the podium. If there are any questions by the council, though, to you, we'll allow you to answer those following, if anyone else wants to speak to it in general. Ma'am, would you like to speak? Okay.
Council ladies and men, I'm Dot Oliver, and I was a resident of this area in 1941. There was a nightclub there on the corner, and a couple of years ago it was renamed from Vogue Nightclub to a Rendezvous Nightclub. This is how we feel about our neighborhood. We purchased this nightclub, and we had the fire department to come out and have a test burn. We got rid of something that would bother our neighbors as well as us. We love our neighborhood. There's nothing that we would do for them that would hurt them. And as one of them said the other night, that we might sell it to someone that would have better plans maybe for it, or some plans that they didn't like. Well, I'd like to address the issue that they have homes there that they could sell, and they may just sell it to anybody. And we wouldn't want that in our neighborhood either. But I would like for you to take into consideration that this place, we have operated since 1940, well, for 44 years. I grew up on the inn, it was called The Point. There was 5 family of Taylors, which I belonged to, my grandfather, 2 uncles, and my dad. And then there was the Roans. The Roans had a large family. So basically, I respect them, I respect the property, but we're not the kind of people that would open up a strip joint, as was remarked. Maybe someone later on, but then they'd have to come to the council, wouldn't they?
Not if it's rezoned.
Well, maybe we could sell it and reduce it back at that time to a neighborhood subdivision. That we could do.
Well, I don't want to speak out of turn, but if it is upzoned to a B3, it would be very difficult then to go back to a residential.
Yeah. But we would be very cautious who we sell it to, you know. And if the people that did do that, I'm sure the neighbors would complain loud enough, and I would be one of them.
Yeah.
So this has to be taken into consideration, that we would be turning, and the reason why we had it rezoned was because every year I paid 6 deeds. And I thought, well, this would be better. We could have it all put into one place, you know. Pay one tax record per year. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is why we did that, and then we thought in the next go-around, we would maybe have a little boat sales on the corner there. And they have them in the yards, you know, of some of the residences down there. They keep their boats on the yard, and then they put for sale signs on them. And we, at that point, maybe we could help them out and sell their boats for them. Thank you.
Madam President.
Mr. Small?
Yeah, Ms. Oliver, I have a couple questions. Good morning.
Yes, Mr. Small.
The first question I have is, you know, I believe that your husband had came down. He stated that you all want to sell different types of boats, and that's the reason y'all trying to zone to a B3, correct?
These would be the trailable ones, and we would have 2 big driveways on Dolphin Island Parkway. This traffic would not be going down into either neighborhood on Canal or Alba.
Have you all tried to approach them already to see if you all can sell their products, the boat companies?
Have we applied to them? Not yet. We just now, we're bringing the 2 lots on the corner into use, you know.
So right now, you all assuming that you all have to upgrade to a B3, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you're assuming. My second question is that you were saying that you all was trying to combine all the parcels together to make one.
Right.
Hasn't that already been successfully done?
Yes.
So you all are.
Yes, we just had it all surveyed, and it has been done.
So now you all are one parcel, correct?
Yes, and then let me explain
subdivision.
one thing too. There is a buffer zone between this vacant lot that our neighbors are speaking of. We've put up a privacy fence. We have a 50-foot setback from the street just to appease our neighbors. And please take that into consideration also.
But all the parcels now is one subdivision, correct?
One, mhm.
So right now you only have one tax deed, correct?
That's right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. If there is anyone else who would like to speak to the rezoning, please come to the podium.
I'm like that. Do you have a question?
Mr. Richardson has a question of Mr. Rossler.
Mr. Rossler, is it anything preventing them from doing anything at the marina that they could do if it was zoned, if we changed the zoning that they requested? Can they already do what they want to do?
Sell boats.
Sell boats.
As I heard Mr. Oliver today, and I heard him at a meeting on Friday afternoon, he's conducted a marina there, a marina business for 44 years.
Right.
And that he wants to continue doing the same business, operating in the same manner.
And he
has the absolute right to do that in perpetuity because of the court order. So, to answer your question, he's doing a marina business now.
He could
If he
continue.
gets it zoned to B3, it's gonna be the same marina business that he's authorized to do.
That's-
Now, if he gets it zoned to B3, he's not limited to a marina.
Right.
He's limited to, he can do anything that is on that list in the chart of permitted uses.
But from what I've heard today, whatever enterprise, whatever expansion he's trying to make is pertaining to the marina. I didn't hear anything say they weren't doing anything beyond being a marina. The residents seem to be saying that if he got B3 and sold, you can't stop the new owner from opening up a strip club or whatever. But the way it's zoned now, whatever he says he would like to do, he can do it. under his current zoning.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Oliver, are you currently selling boats at your site?
Madam Chairman, occasionally we have a boat to sell, but not very often.
But you are selling boats at your site?
We want to solicit get a franchise in where we can sell smaller boats and things, and appeal our business to that type of business, where we can be attractive.
Okay. And Jim, as far as you're concerned, if he is selling boats at his current location with the current non-conforming, he can still sell boats?
Yeah.
As far as I know, subject to Mr. Olson correcting us, that
Yeah.
boat sales and marina business are
One and-
different.
One and the same.
Mr. Olson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mr.
Richard's
Olson's coming
coming
very
down.
Yeah.
Just take one of those mics down there, Richard. You don't have to
Yeah, why don't you
fight your way through.
have a seat at the,
The mayor's table.
there you go.
Anything that he is doing currently
Yes.
under the existing non-conforming, he can continue. One thing I do need to clarify, though, there could not be a strip club at this location. Adult Entertainment Enterprises have a spacing requirement that they
1,000
have to be
feet.
at least 1,000 feet from residentially zoned properties. So that would preclude any of this site from being any type of adult entertainment enterprise.
And since he has a subdivision now, which gave him apparently some greater space, if I'm right, he can sell boats on all of his space.
He can do boat sales at that location since he has been doing it in the past, yes, ma'am. He hasn't really expanded the site with that subdivision. They had multiple parcels all along. They have just incorporated
okay,
all of
okay.
those existing multiple parcels into one
One.
single legal lot of
Okay,
record.
all right.
Meaning he can bring more boats if he wants to.
Well, yeah.
Right.
Pastor G?
Yes, I do. Richard, I know that I was thinking about the strip club with our ordinance. It's very clear about how the spacing is important, and that wouldn't work based on the zoning map. But when your office is looking at the planning principles for a B3, you look at major intersections, you look at a certain amount of acreage. I know those are not necessarily, in stone, but it helps you to, make sure that something will fit on the parcel correctly. Does this even make the acreage?
No, ma'am, it doesn't meet the 4 acres, but it is located on a major street.
But not at an intersection?
Not at an intersection,
Yeah.
but the way the code reads, it's at or near.
Near.
It is on a major street. It has been used non-conforming for a B3 use for, I believe it was actually a marina before the Olivers acquired it. I remember as a little child going down to our boat and passing that as a marina,
Right.
and
But it's-
Club Rendezvous there on the corner.
Right, but the residents that have learned to coexist are very comfortable with it being a marina, that they're not objecting. And then in listening to the applicant about the desire to go under one parcel, which they've done through a subdivision, which doesn't, require council approval, and the rezoning, in our tenure right now for map of Mobile for exactly what we're doing and what the planning commission just went through and adopting the comprehensive plan. I tend to be sympathetic to the owner to want to be able to get loans or whatever, but I think with a court order that you're a marina, that you want to do marina business, which again, the residents are okay with, certainly that would put any, dialogue to rest.
I can't address that.
Yeah, well, I'm just, to me, it doesn't, from what we're hearing is the future use of the property, it's a marina. And indeed, through so many years of being non-conforming, that's exactly what it is and has done okay for the area. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? And if nobody else wants to come to the podium at this point, all right, the public hearing is closed.
Madam President, just for
Mr.
clarification, all
Williams?
involved, this will be voted on next week by rules of the council. All right? So we won't make the decision until next week at this same location, same time.
Correct.
Public hearing to assent to the vacation of an alley running from South Claiborne Street to South Franklin Street between Government Street and Church Street.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak to this vacation, please come to the podium. Okay, the public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to consider a vacation of right-of-way fee as a condition of the vacation of an alley running from South Claiborne Street to South Franklin Street between Government Street and Church Street.
If there's anyone who would like to speak to the vacation right-of-way fee, please come to the podium. All right.
Public hearing to accept public comments on a proposed application for a TAP grant to include ADA compliant sidewalks along the south side of Airport Boulevard, west of Regency subdivision, entry to Hillcrest Road.
This is a public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to speak to this application, please come to the podium. All right.
Public hearing to accept public comments on a proposed application for a TAP grant to include ADA compliant sidewalks along the O'Shell Road from Durant Street to Union Avenue.
This is a public hearing on a TAP grant application. If anyone would like to speak to it. Okay, public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. We have none. Ordinances held over. 64022, rezone property at 108 and 114 Center Street, and 75, 79, 113, 123, and 129 West Drive from R1 to R3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes,
Mrs.
thank you.
Rich?
Appreciate it. This is in District 6, and last week we had a lively discussion at the public hearing. I know that the applicant, who is out of town, is very much interested in working with nearby neighbors. The gentleman that came down to speak, that they were living across the street from this on Center Street, will actually see a great improvement on that street with drainage, curbing, sidewalks, asphalt, and right now it's a very badly maintained dirt road, so that will be a great improvement. Understand the change in quality of his life as far as being across from this development, but the units will look more like houses than opposed to three-story apartment complexes. That has been typical of the developments in the area. These will have porches and be more like single-family, two-story homes, individual, looking somewhat like a residential neighborhood. The developer did make his time to get there and meet with the resident and assure him that he will listen and do everything he can to make sure that the development is a plus and not a negative. And so I know that that was his demeanor the whole time working with the residents on Perrin Woods who came down to support this. And so I recommend that this get approved for this rezoning in this area. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions held over. 01294, authorized master services agreement with McCory & Williams for engineering, design, and construction services to complete multiple drainage repairs throughout the city.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21295, authorized contract with Acre Construction Corporation for Rickaby Park basketball court.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
01297, authorized agreement with Personnel Staffing Services for Youth Empowered for Success program to provide personnel staffing services for approximately 80 interns in June, July 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21299, authorized contract with H.O. Weaver and Sons for 2016 Pago County Commission District 2.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21300, authorized contract with Contact Network LLC doing business as Inline for construction of fiber communication infrastructure for the Water Street Complete Streets project from Government Street to Beauregard Street as funded by the Tax Increment Financing Program.
So moved.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21301, authorized contract with E. Cornell Malone Corporation for 850 St. Anthony Street re-roof.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
31304, authorize application for a TAP grant to include ADA compliant sidewalks along Dolphin Island Parkway from the south side of I-10 to Old Military Road.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ordinance is being introduced for the first time, 64023.
By council rules, this ordinance will lay over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 03306 through 58310.
Motion to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of resolutions 03306 through 58310.
Second.
All right. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
03306, approve the appointment of new directors of the Improvement District of the City of Mobile McGowan Park Project.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
37307, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license for Con Convenience Store on Holcomb Avenue.
Move to lay 307 and 308 over for 2 weeks.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
58309 and 310 are declaring weeds noxious, group 1562, and assessing cost for removal of weeds, groups 1553.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
CIP resolutions being introduced for the first time, 21311 through 31319.
Motion for suspension of the rules for immediate consideration of resolution 21311 through 31319 with the exception of 21311 and 313.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21312, authorized contract with Poly Surveying of Mobile for 2017 CIP LaRue Steiner Road Drainage Study.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
31314, authorized application 314 and 319, 31319, authorizing application for a TAP grant to include ADA compliant sidewalks along the south side of Airport Boulevard, and for a TAP grant to include ADA compliant sidewalks along the O'Shell Road from Durant Street to Union Street.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 09315 through 47318.
By council rules, those resolutions will lay over for 1 week.
Announcements.
Start with Mr. Daves.
No announcements.
All right, Mr. Richardson?
Yes. I'd like to announce that we'll be holding our Trinity Gardens community meeting on Thursday, June 15th at the Dutch Community Center. Asking all our citizens in the Trinity Gardens area to please come out to this very important meeting. We're going to be talking about jobs training, the YES initiative, and we'll be talking about CIP projects and the many upgrades that's already going on now in Trinity Gardens. We're going to get a report on public safety, and this is going to be the opportunity for the citizens to come and share with us what it is that's on their mind. So it's bringing City Hall inside the neighborhood. Other words, the people in the Trinity Gardens and other parts of District 1 don't have to come to City Hall downtown to get information or to share information with us. We're bringing government to the people. We've been doing this since 2000. We started this process in 2000. We're still doing it today. So we'll be in Trinity Garden on Thursday, June 15th, asking our citizens to please come out and attend and learn and share with us what's on your mind. And I would like to also say that, we talked about the death of Mrs. Florida Fortune. The family has requested that they use Figures Community Center after the funeral on Saturday for a reception, and I've made that request to the mayor's office, and I see they all, they all gone, but I hope that the mayor give us an answer today so the family can go ahead and make their plans. She worked over 50 years with the Recreation Department, and she ended her tenure at Figures, and the family would like to go there for a reception. So I'm asking the mayor to honor their requests and honor my requests. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Ms. French?
Thank you very much. Hope everyone had a safe and reflective Memorial Day weekend. It was rainy, but again, I hope everyone enjoyed themselves. Would also like to thank the Mobile Pops Band for putting on a fabulous concert, patriotic concert, on Saturday evening. It was very well attended, and I thank them for their service. The next concert they will be giving will be at the Battleship for 4th of July, which the city also sponsors as well. Like to remind people of the District 6 community meeting, which will be on June 15th at the Connie Hudson Senior Center to get started at 6:30. The topic is public safety, and everyone should get a postcard. Hope you'll put that on your calendars and join us. Thank you.
Mr. Small?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank the Craig Head Principal, administrators, and staff for inviting me out on last Friday to speak to the 5th grade honors/graduation program. It was a successful event. Many parents was in attendance, and the 5th graders was happy to be completing the 5th grade, heading towards the 6th grade. Congratulations to all the Craig Head 5th grade students on last Friday. And also this coming Thursday, June the 1st, I will be the guest speaker at the Maryville 5th grade completion/graduation program. It will be held at the Revelation Baptist Church at 9:00 a.m., inviting all the parents and even the citizens around the Maysville area to come out this coming Thursday at 9:00 for this great exercise for the 5th grade at the Maryville Elementary School. And remember that District 3 is the place where things are happening. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Madam President. A lot of great stuff going on in the city. I was just talking to a lady at the probate court, and she had to stop what she was doing. She said she could not let me get away without saying how pleased she was with the progress that the city has made with regards to rebuilding its sidewalks and parks. And I was, I asked her how long she lived here, and she says, longer than I want to admit. But she simply wanted everyone to know how much she appreciated. And I think that's getting to be at least a weekly occurrence for me. It's a great time to be in Mobile, Alabama. As I said last week, I am going to go away for a week. And I'm not going to take breaks at night and return phone calls or text or emails. And I'm going to simply say that when I get back, for the first time since I have been doing this, I'm going to look at all the emails and I'm going to try to sort them out by priority and return calls. And I ask everybody that if you can, refrain from sending emails and adding to the cluster that will be created in the next 10 days. I would appreciate very much. I'm going to be with my son in California at the JH Ranch from this Thursday until the 9th, the evening of the 9th. So my first day back at work will be the 10th of June. In the meantime, our office will take phone calls and will respond as necessary. So simply call the council office if it just can't wait. And there are times when that is the case. There are 6 other members of this council, and they will be notified if it is necessary to represent everyone. So, but please understand, I've never asked for this before, and I ask that just for 9 days, that everyone please let me have a little personal time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Williams. This past Thursday, we began Market in the Park at Lovretta Park. I stopped in to visit with the vendors, and for a first day, they had a great turnout. It will just continue to grow. It will run through July 27th. The hours are every Thursday afternoon from 3 until 6 at Lovretta Park, and that's just off Old Shell Road right there as you're going from downtown. It will be heading west and on the right-hand side of Old Shell Road. This coming June 12th, I have my District 7 meeting. We will be at St. John's United Methodist Church at 6 o'clock. We've invited a number of speakers to come. Our focus will be on the widening of Ziegler, but also Commissioner Hudson will be there. It's very timely for her to speak since we are starting to work on the pay-as-you-go resurfacing in the district. So she will be there, as well as Nick Amberger and other invited guests. So please put that on your calendar. The postcards have already arrived in the mail. I'm excited to say they have already hit those mailboxes. Good work, Marion and Deidre. 6 o'clock, St. John's United Methodist Church on June 12th. On June 27th, we will be holding our last off-site meeting. That will be in District 4 at Burroughs Elementary School. That will be at 6 o'clock p.m. We are in the process of deciding what we will do with our pre-conference meeting that day, and as soon as we decide that, we will certainly let everyone know. But off-site will be District 4 at Burroughs Elementary School on June 27th. Any other discussion? Any other announcements? All right. With that, then, we are adjourned.